Hi, these comments are for 8584. I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. The problem here is I'm reading your integrated writing practice test right now. You're one of my students in the English language program here at California State University, San Bernardino. The problem is you're not really showing what the connection is between the information in the reading and the information in the lecture. You say in the listening, the speaker adds supporting ideas for each aspect. No, the speaker does not support the ideas in the reading passage. In fact, the speaker contradicts the points mentioned in the reading passage. It's very clear from the reading passage in the lecture that these are opposing points. And you're not making that connection. And that causes trouble. That's going to put you into the 2.5 range here. Your response, you have not demonstrated an understanding of how the information in the lecture is connected to the information in the reading passage. So I'm going to put you at 2.5 out of 5, or 17 points out of 30. Now, if we go into our syllabus here, I got to figure out what your grade is. This is the most serious issue, is you're not showing a good understanding of the listening. So if you cannot listen or understand what someone is saying, then it's going to be difficult for you to do this kind of writing. Okay, let's take a look at here. So I gave you 2.5, right? This is going to put you at 70% out of 100 on this, right? So now the question is, what can you do? How can you, what kinds of changes do you need to make in the essay that more accurately shows what the relationship is with the lecture and the reading? So in the introduction, I'm going to make a change here. According to the reading passage, the author claims 3 negative effects of social networks. However, in the listening, the speaker casts doubt on each of these claims. How do I know that, right? So let's go to the lecture for just a quick second here. It says social networks are constantly being criticized because they're said to promote a false sense of celebrity or community. Many people do not understand or want to understand why people insist on joining a social network. In order to understand social networks like Facebook and Twitter, we have to look at technology and how it affects our daily lives. So from the lecture is now going to rebut. It says, are social networks as bad as some claim? The answer is no, they're not, according to the lecture. That's the relationship you want to show, right? So you say the reading passage reports that social networks, you might say, create a false sense of community and friendship because it has no face-to-face interaction. People, you want to change this to spend time to build. People spend time, or spent, I guess you are correct here, people spent time to build their relationships. In the past. And if we look at the reading passage, it says, and social networks are replacing that much needed social actions or social interaction. You want to say, but these social networks are preventing users Okay, so I would probably say that. You say to add to this idea, no. This is where we want to make some changes here. So we need to change this to show how the lecture disagrees. Let's take a look at it. It says the fundamental argument of social networks is that it takes away our face-to-face interaction because we're communicating through a computer. If we look back at communication before technological advancements like the internet, we will see that soldiers, housewives, even presidents wrote letters to communicate. Social networks like Facebook work in the same way, but instead provide instant communication among people in towns. So the argument here, according to the lecture, is that Facebook and these other forms of social interaction, social media, are using or doing similar things that we did in the past. So if there's nothing wrong with what we did in the past with writing letters to others, then why is it wrong that we're using Facebook to communicate with other people nowadays? So there's nothing inherently wrong about that. That's what we need to show. So when we get to the lecture here, first of all, I'm going to use a word like however to show that the information in the lecture is disagreeing with the information in the reading. So I might say something like this. Now I'm taking these ideas and basing them on this particular paragraph, right? However, the lecture claims there is no requirement that one must meet in person in order to become friends. Similar to the way many wrote letters in the past, social networks are new methods of providing instant communication to others all over the world. Therefore, if there's nothing wrong with letter writing in the past, then there is nothing inherently wrong about using social networks, argues the speaker. Right? So this is kind of showing how the lecture is disagreeing with the information in the reading. That's what you need to show here. So this paragraph, to add to the idea, I'm going to just get rid of that. Okay, let's keep going. The author says people need truly conversation to each other, but social networks only provide the digital feedback. People update their pictures or post messages in social networks, and they expect this way can build up good relationships. Moreover, the speaker points out that people even don't have to meet their online friends in person. Okay, so we need to work on this one again because it's saying here, let's get rid of this here. Okay, we want to work on this particular paragraph. So instead of moreover, we need to change this to in contrast, first of all. In the final exam, yes, it will be, like I told you for this one, in the final exam, the information in the lecture will criticize or disagree or cast doubt on the information in the reading passage. Let's take a look at this second paragraph. Second, the author says that social networks have redefined friendship in a negative way because although I'm going to just get rid of that. So people need conversations with each other. Social networks only provide the digital feedback. People update their pictures or post messages on social networks, illustrates the author, and they mistakenly expect this way can build up good friendships. The word mistakenly is important because the reader believes that this is not the best way to build friendships. In contrast, the speaker points out that people People don't have to meet their friends, their online friends in person because technology has changed the traditional places of where people meet to socialize. Before the internet emerged, the speaker says, people used the pen pal system to follow up with their friendships. Therefore, social networks provide an easy way for people to interact on the website. I'm going to change this to maybe internet. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to our next paragraph here. So finally, the reading passage shows that social networks cause people, you could say, to become addicted. People spend much time on updating pictures. Let's make this plural. Posting messages and reading others. Maybe put an apostrophe here. Status. And this behavior replaces, maybe we can change this to better show the relationship. I think in this third body paragraph, you could say something like this, especially here in the lecture. So let's look at the whole paragraph, and then you'll see that when we get to this part, I'm kind of more accurately showing the connection. So finally, the reading passage shows that social networks cause people to become addicted. People spend much time in updating pictures, posting messages, and reading others' status, and this behavior disproportionately replaces their daily activities or actions. Conversely, let's change this to the speaker claims that addiction should not be used to refer to overusing of social networks because these forms of social interaction are now the accepted norms. In fact, the speaker maybe asserts that those people who refuse to use social networks should be seen as repressed since they are not taking part in our accepted modern technological innovations. Then we have the conclusion. The author claims that if people spend so much time to keep their friendships and social networks without face-to-face communication, the society will become dormant and repressed. So you just need to, if you want to say this, that's fine, but then you say, however, the lecture questions the validity of these conclusions put forth by the author. You could say that, and that would show the connection. Okay, so let's look at the conclusion one more time. In conclusion, the author claims that if people spend so much time to keep their friendships and social networks without face-to-face communication, the society will become dormant and repressed. However, the lecture questions the validity of these conclusions put forth by the author of the reading passage. Okay, so I think we're in pretty good shape there. So let's look at it one more time. Yeah, in this first body paragraph after the conclusion, I'm going to make a change here. This idea more refers to the second important point in the lecture. So let me show you what I'm going to do right here. So it says, I'm going to get rid of this. And then we'll say this. However, similar to the way many wrote letters in the past, social networks are new methods of providing instant communication to others all over the world. Therefore, if there's nothing wrong with letter writing in the past, then there's nothing inherently wrong about using social networks, argues the speaker. probably say that. Okay, let's look at the whole thing one more time. Okay. It says, according to the reading passage, the author claims 3 negative effects of social networks. However, in the listening passage, the speaker casts doubt on each of these claims. First, the reading passage reports that social networks create a false sense of community and friendship because change it to they, how about offer no face-to-face interaction. People spent time to build a relationship in the past, but these social networks are preventing users from being able to communicate in person with others. However, similar to the way many wrote letters to others in the past, social networks are new methods of providing instant communication to others around the world. We have to use a voice marker here according to the speaker in the lecture. It will change that. So, however, according to the speaker in the lecture, similar to the way many wrote letters to others in the past, social networks are new methods of providing instant communication to others all over the world. Therefore, if there's nothing wrong with letter writing in the past, then there's nothing inherently wrong about using social networks, argues the speaker. Second, the author says that social networks have redefined friendship in a negative way because, although people need conversations with each other, social networks only provide the digital feedback. People update their pictures or post messages on social networks, illustrates the author, and they mistakenly expect this way can build up good relationships. In contrast, the speaker points out that people don't have to meet their online friends in person because technology has changed the traditional places of where people meet to socialize. Before the internet emerged, let's start off with, for example, and that's a good idea. I can introduce this. So, for example, before the internet emerged, the speaker says, people use a pen pal system to follow up with their friendships. Therefore, social networks provide an easy way for people to interact on the internet. Okay, so let's go to our last one. Finally, the reading passage shows that social networks cause people to become addicted. People spend much time in updating pictures, posting messages, and reading others' status. And this behavior, this is important word. You remember a minute ago I said mistakenly over here? This word says disproportionately replaces their daily activities or actions. It means, according to the author, people are spending too much time on certain activities with social networks and not enough time on other activities. So, and this behavior disproportionately replaces their daily activities or actions. Conversely, the speaker claims that addiction should not be used to refer to overusing of social networks because these forms of social interactions are now the accepted norms. In fact, the speaker asserts that those people who refuse to use social networks should be seen as repressed since they are not taking part in our accepted modern technological innovations. In conclusion, the author claims that if people spend so much time to keep their friendships and social networks without face-to-face communication, the society will become dormant and repressed. However, the lecture questions the validity of these conclusions put forth by the author in the reading passage. And there it is. So what you wrote, I'm giving you a score of 2.5, right? Or maybe 17 points out of 30, or that's going to put you at about 70% on this assignment. So now what I've done here is the revision of what you wrote. This will score 5.5 out of 5 or 30 points out of 30. So the main thing that you need to do better with, you need to show explicitly how the lecture is different from the information in the reading passage. So the first step in showing that is after each time, every time after the reading passage is discussed, you need to use some type of transition word of contrast. In the second paragraph, you could use, for example, however. In the next paragraph, you could use something like in contrast to show that difference of idea. In the final paragraph, I use the word conversely. You did not do that. You used transition words of addition to show how the lecture is adding to the information in the reading passage, but that doesn't show exactly what the relationship is, right? In addition, when you were talking about the lecture, you weren't showing how it was different, how it disagreed with the information from the reading passage. And that's really the main reason why I gave you the score that I did. Now, based on how you wrote this writing practice test, I have to conclude that you weren't able to completely understand the information in the lecture, nor were you able to accurately show how that lecture disagreed with the information in the reading. So what do? This is tough. This is a tough one. So this is not just about writing. This is also about listening and taking notes and making sure that you're accurately understanding what is being said in the lecture, and that you can also show that through your writing. The best advice I can give you right now is I think you need more practice. You need to do more practice tests. So between now and the final exam, I would encourage you to do 3 or 4 integrated writing practice tests. Remember, in every case, the lecture will disagree with the information in the reading passage, and that's what you need to show in your practice tests. So if you can do some more practice over the next week or so, that will help prepare you for the final exam.